Ariel Helwani's out there, right? And he's posting and he's tweeting. A lot of the time he's posting and tweeting like he's an expert on everything, but he knows nothing. He's putting feelers out there.
So Bisping just went off on a tragically bad rant against Ariel Helwani. And people are going to be doing the usual 10-7s in Ariel's favor. But I refuse to give Ariel a 10-7 for this. I'm sick of watching fighters hand Ariel the easiest 10-7s of all time. Like, Ariel didn't even have to respond to this one for it to be a 10-7. Bisping just kind of fell into a pit of his own stupidity. Let's take a quick look before we really dig into the details. But this is not a 10-7. Bisping 10-7'd himself.
Because who gives a and it's none of your business. Do you know what I mean?
It's none of his business. Well, he is a journalist who covers MMA and has a million contacts and a massive platform. So I'd say it's in his wheelhouse. And listen to this clip where Bisping kind of elevates what he does on his channel above someone like Ariel. I mean, it's comedy.
If I hear of a situation, I'm not doing investigative journalism, trying to find out, like my life depends on it, and I will risk everything so I can be the one to break it, you know?
It's almost like Bisping doesn't understand that people have different roles in life. Like, his whole life must be a series of confusions. The milkman shows up at the door. Oh, you don't see me trying to deliver the milk like my life depends on... You're not a fucking milkman, dude. You're not a milkman, you're not an astronaut, you're not a fucking journalist. We know. The guy's probably having arguments with inanimate objects. I'm not a sausage. Bisping's co-host then reads out a post from Ariel, in which Ariel gives a detailed description of how the feeling and the optimism has evolved over the week, seeming to use a combination of private sources and publicly available information. Ariel includes behind-the-scenes details of efforts being made to find a replacement fight for UFC 303. So a lot of information there. How does Bisping characterize this?
Yeah, so once again, big long statement, sounding like an expert, but no news.
Big long statement, sounding like an expert, no news. I mean, Jesus. I'm sorry, man. The UFC looking for late replacements for the biggest fight in the sport in the wake of a cancelled press conference. That constitutes news. It was really just unbelievable. I can't believe Bisping was verbalizing these things.
A lot of the time he's posting and tweeting like he's an expert on everything, but he knows nothing. He's putting feelers out there.
He knows nothing. Now, I think Ariel has been vindicated for most people, but there's still some out there who think he didn't know anything. So I want to look at the whole thing, because not only do I think it's obvious he did know, I mean, that's clear, I think it's obvious who his source was and why they were leaking information. So Ariel had 3 main clips from the Helwani Hour discussing the situation. In the first clip, Ariel was at least acting like he knew, because he was able to confidently eliminate a whole host of explanations. Now, obviously, if he didn't really know, this is a huge reputational risk, because if it does turn out to be one of the things he's eliminated, he was going to look like an attention-seeking fool. He was going to look exactly the way Bisping was characterizing him. And so the fact that he was confidently eliminating these things gave me huge confidence that he knew what he was talking about.
I could tell you right now with 100% certainty, confirmed, 1,000%, nothing with regards to any sort of legal issue, incident of any kind, drama of any kind, criminal thing of any kind, fight of any kind, alcohol, this, that, like none of that is at play here. There is no salacious story. There is no, there's no great drama. There's no great theater. There's no story. There's nothing going to come out.
So he eliminates anything criminal or salacious, anything to do with drink or drugs, and he also eliminates the possibility of a doping violation. And when you see how confidently Ariel was eliminating these things, I have no idea how anyone could think he was just making things up.
I can also tell you with 100% certainty, because I'm seeing all the stuff here. I'm seeing all the theories and the people throwing out stuff. There's nothing regarding any sort of drug testing or anti-doping or anything like that. It is not that.
He also states that it was nothing outside of athletic activity.
There's no egg on anyone's face, nothing of that sort with regards to any sort of like out of athletic activities, if you get what I'm saying.
Now that's a big one, because the way that's phrased kind of indicates that it's not on the business end, which is something that I thought could be in play. I thought it was problems with the UFC, but Ariel confirmed that it was on the athletic end. I mean, when you look back, he really was spelling it out. In a later clip, Ariel said he thought he gave the whole thing away.
I laid it all out for you guys, and still I saw people saying, so basically he knows nothing. I mean, I don't even think, initially I thought I had said too much.
And really, he kind of did give it away. He basically eliminated every reasonable guess people were making and zoned in on the athletic side of the sport. But he even went further than that. In the first clip, the only explanation that he entertained was an injury. So he eliminates everything else and then entertains the possibility of an injury. Jesus Christ, he's spelling it out.
Historically, if you've been following Conor McGregor, you know that if, in fact, he is dealing, let's just say, with an injury, you know that historically he fights through those things, most famously against the likes of Chad Mendes. He had a messed up knee, fought the likes of Nate Diaz and even came back after the Diaz fight on a pretty quick turnaround to fight Eddie Alvarez at Madison Square Garden, where he wasn't quite 100%.
So like people who still doubt Ariel, they must think he just got extremely lucky. But I think we can go a step further and unmask his super secret contact that he wants to protect. Who is the first person Ariel would be in contact with in a Conor McGregor fiasco? And would Conor have any reason to leak information to Ariel? He would. Enormous incentive to do so. If you look at how the UFC and Conor both handle it, they were both very tight-lipped on details. For whatever reason, they didn't and still don't want to elaborate on the full nature of the situation. The issue with that strategy is that it opened the door for mass speculation. And how were people speculating? By placing Conor in an unflattering light. I mean, Conor was out partying, getting boozy, getting handsy with women, so there was tons of reasonable speculation that it was something scandalous, legal problems, another accusation, a street fight, something to do with booze. And people were saying Chandler just wasted years chasing a man whose head is just not in the game. So while he didn't want to divulge the full nature of the issue, he would have had huge incentive to go into damage control to protect his reputation. He also wouldn't like the 10,000 Irish fans to think he let them down for no good reason. And when you look at the situation like that and re-examine the first clip from the Helwani hour, you can see that the entire point of it wasn't to tell us what was going on. He didn't go into that. It was to tell us for 100% fact what wasn't going on. Ariel 100% guaranteed us that the reality did not reflect Conor in a bad light. 100%, he said.
But I can tell you right now with 100% certainty that there's nothing salacious, there's nothing scandalous, there's no failed drug test, there's nothing of that sort. I just want everyone to know that there's no sort of scandalous, salacious story at play here.
So it's obvious. Look, Conor is worried about the optics, so he gets on to Ariel and says, look, don't say I'm injured, but tell them it's nothing illegal, it's nothing salacious, it's nothing criminal, I haven't smashed up anyone in a bar, I'm not doping, tell them it's something on the athletic side. Everything leaked was to Conor's advantage. I mean, Ariel might as well have said, my sources also tell me Conor McGregor is a wonderful lover, and forged Irish stout is #1. Guinness tastes like shit. The source was Conor, man, come on. One other thing Ariel mentioned was he knew ahead of time that the press conference was in jeopardy. How would he know that?
Anyway, I find out late yesterday morning that the press conference is in jeopardy. Now, I will say I wasn't given a reason. So, you kind of wait to see how it all plays out. Then, a couple hours later, I find out the press conference is canceled.
Like, Bisping kind of characterized Ariel as a sneaky little snake, slithering around looking for info, but Ariel isn't going to be snooping around the logistics of the press conference before it's cancelled. So the fact that he knew ahead of time suggests that the earliest info Ariel received was unsolicited. Someone contacted him, gave him a heads up. And who would have known ahead of time? Well, people close to Conor. So what are we thinking? D. Devlin? It was very likely Conor, and we know he has a close relationship with Ariel. Anyone who thinks this is unlikely, I would invite you to rewatch the first clip of Ariel and answer the following question. Who had the most to gain from the very specific information leaked in this video? So taking a quick look at the other clips, by the time of the second clip, the event appeared to be back on track. But Ariel didn't backtrack or distance himself from things he'd said. Instead, he tripled down on the fact that there had been problems.
And I can assure you, whenever the brass meets with the press at any point between now and then and someone asks them about this, they'll say it's bullshit and that you shouldn't believe the media. And if it didn't come from us, don't believe it. But everything I have reported is 1,000% fact from Monday to now.
So Ariel wasn't just licking his finger and sticking it in the air to work out what way the wind was blowing. When the wind appeared to be blowing against him, he tripled down on what he'd said. Again, in this clip, Ariel ran through all the injuries and issues that Conor has fought through, so he was again placing emphasis on injury.
He was supposed to fight Jose Aldo. Aldo gets removed 2 weeks before. He could have pulled out. There's a whole movie about this with the injured knee and them coming to his house and all that stuff. He says, F it, we're fighting for the interim belt. He fights Mendez. He beats Mendez.
And Bisping kind of has this thing like it's Ariel attacking the UFC. He was breaking news, okay, that they probably wanted to stay private, but he was extremely complimentary of how the UFC were handling it.
From everything I've heard, the UFC brass has been amazing. They've been supportive. They've been on board. They've had everyone's back. And there is great optimism that this is going forward.
And then there was a third clip where Ariel correctly foreshadowed the ultimate cancellation of the event.
Here we are, Wednesday, 1:13. The positivity that I talked about exactly 1 week ago today is nowhere to be found. I would say this fight is very much in limbo. I would say that it's hanging on. I would say the UFC is working very, very hard right now to figure out a plan B.
So looking back at everything, I think we can safely say Ariel did know, and I would guess beyond that, his initial source was Conor McGregor, trying to control what he knew could be a very unforgiving public reaction. That's my guess. I don't know, that's a guess. So a fail for Michael Bisping. But beyond his criticism of Ariel, I thought there was an even more concerning, broader underlying contempt for the entire concept of journalism.
If I hear of a situation, I'm not doing investigative journalism, trying to find out, like my life depends on it, and I will risk everything so I can be the one to break it, because who gives a and it's none of your business. Do you know what I mean? What will be. Stay out of it, you prick.
Like the first part of that sentence is, if I hear of a situation, I'm not doing investigative journalism. I thought the end of that sentence was going to be something like this. So I give those guys credit. They do the hard work, they develop sources, they write stories, but sometimes they break stories when they should give the UFC a chance to strategize first. Something like that. I thought he would at least couch his shilling in something that sounded semi-reasonable. He didn't even do that. He just goes on to directly mock the whole idea of journalism as a just meritless, narcissistic pursuit. I said this again, but I can't believe he's verbalizing this.
And I will risk everything so I can be the one to break it,
No, we don't know. We don't know at all. So what is going on here? Well, I've been goofing on Bisping like he's dumb, but he's not dumb, and it's not that. And he's smart enough to know he's talking crap. I mean, investigative journalism, let's get rid of that. He knows that that's a stupid idea. The explanation is obvious.
Because who gives a and it's none of your business. Stay out of it, you prick.
Stay out of it. Don't be asking all them questions, giving poor Dana a headache, you pesky fucking prick. Oh, God. Ariel called him a bootlicker. I saw a comment on Twitter calling him one of Dana White's sock puppets, which I thought was a funnier euphemism. Just the ultimate company man. He wants to work for the UFC. He wants to stay in their good graces. He has a good relationship. He's Team UFC. He's Dana's buddy, and he's not going to rock that boat. He's always been one of the UFC's preferred fighters. Like, he won the Ultimate Fighter, and he was a very significant figure in popularizing the UFC in the UK. He was treated very well as a champion, we know. He's continued to work with them after his retirement. So that's all good. I'm not trying to deny the guy's contribution to the sport. Now he's involved with that slappy fucking nonsense Dana is doing. Here he is palling around Slappy Crap HQ with Nina Drama. I personally don't have a problem with Nina, but if you're working with Nina on Slappy Crap while taking shots at real media, well, that does say something. Ariel went to Syracuse School of Journalism. Bisping prefers the Dana White School of Social Influencing. Which do you prefer, bubbles or clouds? These are the questions Dana likes, the hard-hitting questions.
What toothpaste do you use?
So it's crystal clear what's going on here. His master's voice. Dana White's favorite sock puppet, shilling like a villain. Okay, so since I started editing this video, Bisping has come out and tried to get ahead of this thing before Ariel goes on the MMA Hour and demolishes him. And he's saying, you know, it was just banter. It was jokes, dude. You can't take jokes.
Just real quick off the top, I just got sent a video of Ariel Helwani going on a rant, calling me bootlicker Bisping and all the rest of it. Jesus Christ, Ariel. We're having a laugh. We're taking the piss. My God. He says, oh, we've known each other for a long time. We have. I thought you could take a little bit of banter, Ariel. Bootlicker Bisping. I'll have that slap fighting gig. I've got the slap fighting gig. I'm a commentator in the sport, okay? Anytime you insert yourself into the conversation, you become a part of the conversation. So therefore, we're going to have a laugh. We're going to take the piss, which is what we do on this show. We don't sit here and cry into our microphones and insult people and remind the world about the 14 trophies.
Atrocious line to come out with, because that was not banter, dude. Jesus. We can see banter. We're not stupid. We understand what banter is. It's not an impenetrable secret fucking language that nobody gets. Maybe calling Ariel a prick, but accusing him of talking out of school and not knowing anything and tweeting recklessly for attention, that's not banter.
Yeah, so once again, big long statement, sounding like an expert, but no news.
You're trying to rally people against him and fuck with the guy. People's egos are out of fucking control, man. That you get caught in something like this and you can't say, you know, okay, yeah, I got that wrong. Here's what Bisping should have said. And he could still say this, you know, because this might go on. This could go on for another couple of days. He could come out and say, look, the thing is, I have been involved with the UFC for decades. I love the organization. They've always been very good to me. I've got good relationships. And it's not just Dana. I don't just have a good relationship with Dana. I know all the people doing all the hard work over there, organizing events, the marketing aspect of it. I know all these people. These are friends of mine. They got dealt a vicious card last week. The most difficult card that you can deal with. A lot of money at stake here. And so they are trying to deal with a logistical nightmare. And all the scrutiny and all the public speculation and all the rumors, all that does is add enormous pressure to an already impossible event. So yeah, I went to bat for them. I tried to mitigate some of the speculation, but obviously I know journalism is not a meritless pursuit. I think that's about the most sympathetic light you could put him in.